Hey, this is America's author, Devious Cast. And as written by America's author, this is CCP Podcast.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. We are here on Twitch, or you're catching us over on replay on YouTube. Welcome to today's show. This is show number 2 for the day and probably show number 5 for the weekend. It's been a long run here at CCP Podcasting, but it is always a fun time because we get to hang out with each and every one of you, as well as today have conversations with people across the world and get a taste of what they have going on overseas. But before we get there, as you know, November 22nd, right around the corner, CCP Podcasting presents Chapter 1 Genesis. Our first live event is going to be right here in Orlando, Florida, and it is a happening, to say the very least. We've got about 8 matches on deck, featuring some of the best talent in Florida and outside of the state coming down to show their love and appreciation for what we've been doing for the independent scene over the last 2 years. This is just Chapter 1. Where there's one, there is more. Stay tuned. I assure you, at ccppodcasting.com, you can get all of your information and tickets and all that fun stuff as we are making some announcements and as we move forward. Today, we're heading across the pond. We're headed back to the UK. This is why I love what we do here, because you never know what comes your way, who you're going to be able to talk to, and how things happen. We always say on our channel, professional wrestling can bring people together. And over the last several weeks, this is exactly what has happened. We started out meeting a new friend, Martin Cardia, who was with Prize Wrestling, or is with Prize Wrestling over in the UK. He, was like, hey, I've got some friends that would love to come in and chat. I said, well, just send them my information. And by golly, here we are. Today, our guest, again, from Prize Wrestling, he goes by the Big Deal, and I would imagine that things are about to be really big at CCP Podcasting today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the Big Deal, Mr. Dante. How are you, brother? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live.
What's up, beautiful people? And I'd just like to say, first of all, that this has been a dream of mine since I was a baby. My first words were CCP Podcasting. I actually grew up idolizing these people, even on the young age of 25. So it's an absolute honor to be on this podcast today.
It's my pleasure to have you on. While I appreciate that, you almost popped me, and we just started, and you almost popped me. It should be a fun show, man. I really enjoy the fact that we get the opportunity to sit down and talk to people from all over the world, and independent wrestling truly is on fire everywhere. And this is what our platform is. This is exactly why we exist. You'd have told me a couple of years ago that we'd be on the forefront of doing some really big things here 2 years later. I'd have called you a liar, but a loss, here we are. And it's all because of independent wrestling, guys and girls all over the world lacing their boots just like you, who come in and sit down and give us a chat and give us some time, and we develop long-term relationships off of it. We're not a short-term channel. As you will see when you step forth here as a guest at CCP Podcasting, you become part of the family. So welcome to the family. And as we get started over in our chat, Martin Cardia is already here. Says, go for it, brother, from Martin. And we've got Goth over in chat as well. I'm sure you may have chatted with him. And several other folks are going to be watching. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to drop them in chat. I will ask them. I'll get them worked in, as long as they are on the level with the conversation. Are you ready to get started, Mr. Dante?
I am, sir, of course. Any day of the week, I'm good to go, and I look forward to talking to these beautiful people. Just want to say quickly before we do start that is a thing that I love the most about wrestling. Is such a beautiful aspect that you don't get to appreciate fully until you're involved. Is just the amount of people, the unique, diverse people that you meet in this wrestling world from all over the world, as he said. And it's something that, again, you're only aware of it once you dip your toe into the pool that is wrestling. So yeah, a pleasure to speak to you again today.
Well, let's dive in, man. I like to start at the top. And for me, where the top is and what the top is at some point in time, you got to fall in love with professional wrestling. You got to catch it somewhere. You got to see it. Where does it intersect with you? And what were some of the things that drew you in initially?
Yeah, of course. So this started, and this is a very unique situation for myself, although I'm sure some people can relate. So I'm, like I said, the age of 25. And to keep a long story very short, my stepdad left at the age of 7. He left a set of 8 DVDs of pro wrestling. My love started there. To cut a long story short, yeah, there was 8 DVDs on replay, but I'd watched week in, week out, day in, day out. Included ECW Living Dangerously '99, I believe it was. Chris Jericho Raw debut. Those are some memories that I have of that. But I would literally watch those on repeat from probably the ages of 7 to about 12. That's all I watched with those 8 DVDs, and my love was off of those 8 DVDs. Um, and it kind of just transpired from there. Continued to fall more in love with the world of wrestling as I gained more knowledge about it. Other promotions like TNA, of course, ECW. Um, but yeah, it only really came to fruition, my true love, when I came back in 2019 as AEW started. That was where the passion for it really, came to be. Because up until that point, I'd just been a fan. I'd only watched from the outside looking in. But I felt like when AEW came around was my opportunity to learn more about what was outside of WWE. Because I think a lot of wrestlers and fans specifically have the perception that WWE is wrestling, that there is only WWE and nothing else, when in reality there is such a big world and such a variety of wrestling all over the world that you can watch.
Not only that, various styles too, right? Like it's not just the Americanized style. There's all kinds of different variations. That's the beautiful thing about wrestling in general is, me, I'm a big chaining guy. I love chaining. I love technicians. I love the technical style of professional, or the British strong style.
Johnny Saint is someone I study often.
Yeah, British strong style is exactly where I go to. That's one thing I love about diving into the scene over in the UK. Like it got to a point with us, like our audience grew so much in the UK that we created programming just for the UK. Like every week, every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern time here, we're watching different UK talents because the style is just so great and the wrestling's phenomenal over there. And as your love for it starts to grow and you start really thinking that, like, I want to try and do this. What's the path for you look like to getting into training, and how did you start that journey?
But this is a question that to this day is still something that I feel like I stumbled into it. Had no desire. That's probably the wrong word. Had no couldn't really fathom. It was just a dream for me to be a wrestler again. As I feel like with a lot of kids, you kind of just see these larger than life figures, and you think it's not possible for someone that looks like yourself, not possible for someone like me to even attempt to be that kind of person, become a wrestler. But I never forget. I was coming back from work one day on the way home, and just happened to see a poster on the wall that said "Prize Wrestling," and didn't realize that it was local to Hereford, of course, in town that I live. But I thought I would give that a shot. Thought I would see if there was something still going there, if they were doing shows. I had no idea if they were running shows. But as soon as I looked online and figured out more about when they do shows and where their training facilities are and if I could get involved, that was the path. That was the path I kind of had in my mind, that this is something that I want to give a shot, give a go. And before I know, I think a week after I saw that poster, I was making my first training session, entered my first training session. I forget the exact date, but it almost didn't come to be because right before I did training, the day prior was a Monday, and I had recently injured my ankle. So 6 months ago, I'd injured my ankle and wasn't able to walk on it. And the day prior to training, I'd re-injured it. So I'd done football and hurt it again. And I was so close to not turning up to training. I was close to saying, this isn't for me. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'll try again some other time, maybe come back when I'm stronger. Half an hour after training started, in my mind, I thought, too many times in my life have I kind of shied away from things. Too many times have I said no to it and taken the easy path. This is wrestling. This is something that I've been passionate about virtually my entire life. If I can't say yes to that and if I can't give that a shot, then what am I really doing? So I said, screw it. I went to my first training session with an injured ankle and just told the trainer as I came in there, I was like, I'm injured. I can't really do much right now, but I'm here to learn. If you're here to teach me, I'm here to learn. And that was how the journey started.
And it was through Prize Wrestling?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Prize Wrestling, which is, we do shows in Hereford, Leominster, and Evesham, newly also Ledbury as well. So we currently do 4 different locations.
I love hearing that because that means you're growing. That means that the company's trying to do some growth movements too. That's always a fun thing to hear. When you dove into training and The biggest misconception, a lot of folks who watch have never gotten into the ring and have never laced a pair of boots and don't realize real quick that that this shit hurts. So as you're getting into training, what were some of the eye-opening moments for you that you were like, oh, or maybe let me rephrase that. Maybe some of the things that you had difficulties with, as well as some things that you caught on to pretty quickly. What was where did you land in that regard?
For me, I think I will never be able to go truly appreciate just how many balls you're juggling, so to speak, when it comes to wrestling, because it's a mixture of so many different things. There are so many aspects you then have to try and begin to understand, let alone master. So it's not just taking the hard moves. It's not just being able to remember things. It's all these things and more. Being able to something that you can't learn at training, only through experiences of shows can you realize how important it is to try and get the crowd invested, to be able to bring them along with the story. I always say this: there is no point in being able to do all these cool flippy moves and do all that kind of stuff if you're not bringing the crowd along with you for the ride. If you're doing it all for your own sake. Again, I'm an old school kind of head wrestler. Like, I appreciate the 90s and the 2000s for what they were, and that wrestling, of course, has changed and evolved over the years. But I'm someone that tries to keep that style of wrestling alive, tries to keep the stories to make sense and be told in a way that the fans can follow. So when it comes to that side, I think that's the hardest thing that has been ongoing for me to try and learn, is to be able to think of ways that I can help innovate, but also keep it the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, psychology really is kind of to a degree is what it boils down to a little bit. Like, that was something that I had a little difficulties with for the first year or so after I got through training. And of course, we're talking different times, brother. Like, we're going back 20 plus years for me. Training for me was 2.5 months. Here you're on the road in a match, go. So it wasn't like we didn't have the time, or we didn't get the time that we could get. Most people may get nowadays, especially with some of the facilities that I've seen nowadays. That more recently, over the last couple of years, like, it's just come night and day. When it comes to reading that room, like, psychology is a pretty big thing, and it's something that you have to kind of figure out, and you kind of figure it out in your own terms. Like, eventually that switch goes off. Has that went off for you yet? Like, as far as being able to maybe read the room and read the crowd and play off of them and tell that story and carry them on that ride. Have you mastered that, or are you still kind of work in progress?
There is no chance that I ever will begin to master that. I think that is something that you either have or you don't. I always try and be hard on myself for that exact reason. I feel like the harder I am on myself, the more I am able to learn. I'm a sponge. I always try and ask for advice and always try and figure out what I can do better, because that's the only way to improve. You can't be ignorant to your own flaws. I'm very curious on your side, because, again, for me, the whole UK side of wrestling was very new to me when I came into it. Of course, I knew of WWE, I knew of AEW, but UK, and of course, USA, the other promotions outside of it. So I was curious, 20 years ago, from yourself, what would you say was the biggest difference that you've seen on, say, the indie level 20 years ago compared to now for yourself?
Well, honestly, off rip, social media. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing 20. I mean, we're going 99, so 26 years ago was when I debuted. Social media was in its. Internet was in its infancy. Like, you didn't get that until years later. And by the time social media even became a thing, like, I was done. I was out. But it was one of those things that was a big contributing thing. And I often wonder, like, what if social media was a thing back then? Because I was a heel, and I was always a good talker.
Yeah.
I was the guy that
right.
Would put the baby faces over and talk them into the building to get my ass kicked, and I'm okay with that. I was really good at it. It took a minute, right, to figure it out. I was lost for the first 13, 14 months after training, when I was trying to navigate and figure things out. But once I figured it out and realized that I was running a shitty gimmick, it all came full circle, and it became easy for me to get over with any crowd, and to just use the abilities that I had.
I nearly clicked to you.
Yeah, it was like, accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. I was never the best fucking wrestler, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I could do my part, and I could do some chaining and some transitioning. I was a cardio guy. I could go distance, and I could pace the match, and I can do whatever. I would work my style around whoever I was in the ring with. And I was basically a throwback to the 80s, essentially. Like I was work a hold, kind of take them on that ride, if you will. But to answer your question, social media is the biggest thing that's changed, because you guys have this at your disposal, and it is literally a 24/7 marketing tool if you use it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game.
It's a different beast entirely.
Absolutely.
It's a different beast entirely. And sorry to cut you off, but I just want to say on that, because for me, this is where I had a crossroads early into wrestling, because if I'm being completely honest right now, I don't mind saying it to people, I am not a fan of social media. It hindered me a lot early in my life, especially 2019 to 2022. I realized just how much time I was wasting on it, and tried to eliminate it from my life, essentially, try and stay off of Facebook, etc. But of course, as you know, with wrestling, you kind of have to use social media in order to promote your wrestling. It's a cliche saying, but essentially, if it's not recorded now, then it didn't happen, right? So unless you have the footage, unless you have the promotion, unless you have all these different tools to be able to use. For example, I'll use today as an example. We have this promoter called Mad Dog Max, who wrestles. It's a promoter, for PWL, the show that was on today in Darlington Town Hall. And he does very little promotion for his show. Yet he consistently sells over 200 tickets, and is amazingly successful. In those moments, I always wonder if he could do even more if he was able to grasp the social media side of it. But then equally, he seems like the happiest guy in the world because he's not in the social media realm, if that makes sense. Like, his mind isn't having to think about what.
Well, it can be it could be a real nasty negative space. Like, it truly can. Like, to me, I always say social media it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. Even today, like, I'm not a social media guy. I get it. I feel you 100%. I think it's the bane of existence. I think that a lot of people use it in ways that it's not meant to be used for, because it's a way for them to say what they want to fucking say without being held accountable. That's my take on it. I use it for strict promotion of what we're doing on our channel, and that includes, like, I have a Facebook account. I couldn't tell you the last time I fucking logged into it. I'm just keeping it real. Like, Instagram, I don't use X anymore. Like, I'm rarely on there. I really stick to Instagram so I can be in and out. Now, that's not to say that that's not for everybody. There are some people who may get off on, the social media aspect of it. And I haven't met a whole lot of people who are just like straight up against it. And I take your stance with it. If I didn't have to use it, I probably wouldn't. But if I didn't have it, it's like again, double-edged sword. If I didn't have it, then I'm not able to utilize it.
We wouldn't be here talking today.
To put my audience, you in front of my audience, and whoever we're talking to, and whatever company we're watching, we wouldn't have that avenue. So it's a blessing and a curse. You just kind of have to, at some point, realize what you want to get out of it, right? So it's
1,000%. And I think with those kind of things, it's a lot easier for us to be able to say these things because, again, I've used more so experienced life without the internet myself. I grew up right in between it, where it was becoming a big thing, but wasn't yet really. Of course, 2009, 2010. I remember having a laptop and being able to see, like, oh my God, I can message people across. I always remember the days where, as a kid, I would actually go and knock at people's doors and go and see if they wanted to go to the park and play and spend time outside, whereas my brother, who was the same age growing up, he was just on his Xbox constantly. He would never go outside. He would always be online. This is the differences that I see. And, of course, now the people growing up, all they know is the internet, right? All they know is being able to go online and connect to other line things. And, you can only appreciate things in hindsight. I feel like a lot of the time, like, you're not able to really appreciate just how peaceful your mind was before the internet, I feel like. Well, your point is right.
Mental health's a thing. I mean, and what a lot of people don't understand, and it's interesting. Hang on. Excuse me. I was chatting with a gentleman yesterday over here in the States on the West Coast. His name's Daniel Moon, and part of, he left due to COVID, left the industry due to COVID, but then decided to take a lengthy break because of mental health. And unfortunately, This is the positive and negative, right, of wrestling. The negative side of it is that there are people out there who will, try and use it as a tool to harm you, whether it's verbally, et cetera, et cetera. So in your instance, unfortunately, you're a performer. So you're going to have to kind of utilize it to promote yourself, but you can be smart about it. You can, I always tell people, once you know the rules of the game and once you know the game, you know how to play it. Once you know how to play it, you can beat it.
You can play it a lot better.
And you can beat it. And that's what I had to do, is just figure out how to beat social media so I don't see a lot of the negative. And even it affects me. Like, it affects our platform, right? Because there are some podcasters out there who are very negative, or tribalism, as an example. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it at all. There are things that I like, and there are things that I don't like. If I don't like it, I'm not going to use my platform to slam it. I'm just not going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And this is something that I think a lot of people in life should be able to appreciate more, because I always find it fascinating that people look at a lot of things in black and white. Like, you have to like this or you hate this, or vice versa. You like this or you hate that. Nothing in life is black and white. There is always grey. And just because you say a bad thing about one promotion doesn't mean you instantly love the other promotion, or vice versa. With the social media in general, I think, thankfully for myself, and it's a blessing in disguise really, when I was growing up, of course, wasn't treated the best coming from the UK, and looking the way I do, unfortunately, racism was very common. Growing up, going through high school, primary school, all this kind of stuff. But the one thing it did do is harden my skin, kind of made me strong to those kind of comments and all the stuff that was said that came to social media. It's very rare that I do feel insulted or feel slighted by anything that is said to me or about me, because I've experienced it in my personal life already.
Which is a shame, by the way. It's a fucking shame.
Yeah.
I know this is not where we were going with our podcast today, and we'll get back on track at some point. Of course. But as a dude whose better half is black, I can tell you, if I hear any of that, it doesn't end well, because I'm that dude that will speak up. I'm that guy. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I will tell you what I feel, and if you're going to be ignorant, I will educate you on your ignorance really fucking quickly. So I'm sorry that you have to deal with stuff like that. I tell my better half.
No, thank you, and I appreciate you for saying that. Because I think the quote that I heard recently from Austin Aries, is a wrestler himself, but something that I found really fascinating that did stick with me, is that he said, which to me makes all the more sense when hearing it, is that you don't need to feed into stuff that you don't want to grow. You feed into the stuff that you do want to grow. So say if you have a plan, you want to water it, you want to feed that, and you want to nurture that. So I'm all about positive energy, like, if I want to see wrestling grow and I want to see wrestling succeed, I'm not going to comment or bother commenting on the stuff that I find bad or I don't enjoy watching, I'm not a fan of. I'm only going to support the people who I want to support. I'm only going to talk to the people who I want to talk to, and keep that positive energy, because that's what I feel like needs to have more in wrestling, is the positive energy, because you don't always feel it. Sometimes you do feel like you're singled out, or you're almost gated or gatekeeped, whatever the word is, from certain groups or promotions. If you don't like a certain wrestler, if you don't like certain opinions. John Moxley is a really controversial wrestler, I feel like, right now, for that reason, because there are a lot of people that love him and love his attitude and the way he wrestles. There are a lot of people who hate how he wrestles and the way he looks, right? So this is stuff that wrestling is, unfortunately, in 2025.
Well, what's your take on that? We'll use this. We'll see what your take is on it. We'll see if we can use this as an example of how people can be an adult about things that they may not agree with.
We'll get a couple of haters and we'll get a couple of supporters.
Yeah. What's your take on Moxley? Your personal take. What do you think?
Of course, so I believe that he is an extremely talented wrestler, as I believe that any wrestler on the AEW, WWE level, well, 99% of wrestlers on the AEW, WWE level are talented wrestlers. You will never get to see all of that, because they have their set jobs, and sometimes they are limited by what they are supposed to do on TV. However, it is not my style of wrestling. I'm not going to pretend like it is. The fish tank stuff and all the blood and all of this kind of stuff doesn't appeal to me.
We're in the same boat.
I enjoy wrestling for every aspect of it, and there's a time and a place for everything. I'm contractually obligated to say this, but even in my opponents in tonight's match that I had a couple of hours ago, Doc Wiley and John Terry, JT, they beat me. They beat the living hell out of me. And they used some trash bin lids. They used a Nemo plushie. They used a fire extinguisher at one point. They're disgusting human beings, but I will be obligated to say that I respect them for the fact that they don't take themselves too seriously, that they know when to have fun, they know when to have a good time, they know when the crowd is there to have a good time. And not everything needs to be that John Moxley style of serious kind of wrestling, in my opinion.
Well, again, this is where I say we're in line. So I'm not a fan of the overly hardcore stuff, deathmatch stuff. Not a big fan of it. Doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and condemn it either. Because just because I may not like it, and I may not like that style, and I may not get into it, doesn't mean that there's not somebody out there who does. And just because they do and I don't, doesn't mean that I'm right or I'm wrong. It just means that I don't have to watch it, but someone else can enjoy it, and that's fucking okay. That is okay.
Exactly.
We as a society need to get
I look at it as if you have food in your, food on the table, right? You have a flavor of ice cream, as everyone likes to use that term. But if you have your own favorite ice cream on your own table and your own plate, and you're sitting there eating that, I'm not going to go to someone else's table and talk bad about their food and their ice cream. I'm just going to sit there and enjoy my own ice cream. I have no interest to look at other people's ice creams and judge their ice cream, right? When I'm enjoying my own, so there's enough wrestling in 2025 for everyone to enjoy something.
And at the end of the day, the more successful places there are, there's more. That means that there's more places for people to work. Like, not just on the bigger scale. I mean, we're talking all the way down to independents, and on the regardless. My take with the independents is, as long as they treat the talent right and they respect the talent, I'm okay with them. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. As long as you respect the talent and you take care of the talent. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that are out there entertaining us. You guys are the ones that are out there doing what you do.
What did you think of the Raja Jackson situation that happened a couple of months now? I'm assuming you saw about it or heard about it. What did you think about that situation?
Are we talking about Rampage Jackson's son? So
yeah.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I think that there was a lot wrong with that entire situation. A lot. And there are, for me, there's a lot of people that are responsible for that. Oh, there's a lot.
A lot of people that need to take accountability.
Correct. I hope that this is a situation that opens the eyes to a lot of people. The Rampage Jackson's son, I forget his first name. He should be held accountable. The promoter should be held accountable. The wrestler who instigated should be held accountable. I mean, this dude could have fucking died. Could have died. And like, this is okay.
What, really? For what?
This is for a kick stream. Are you kidding me? Like, they just I'm not a fan.
This is why I think wrestling fans sometimes. Sorry, continue.
It's like this. Here's just an example. Like, I haven't been in the ring in 25 years. Well, 20 years. Sorry, I quit. I hung them up in 05. So 20 years. I was preparing to do something with a Fed. The time that this was rolling, and the time that this happened, and I backed out of it because of
that situation.
Not trying to get involved in it like that right now. No, because there's such a negative connotation around podcasters at this point. And people trying to, because it's all about intentions too, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you in this for the right reason? That's a big thing on our channel. That's one thing that anybody that I bring in as an on-air talent or an on-air co-host, I always ask the same questions. What are your intentions? Are you here for the right reasons? Because some people will try and jump on a bandwagon because they think that you're going to get famous. Well, that's the wrong reason. If you're here to educate yourself on independent wrestlers all over the world, if you're here to educate yourself on companies and learn and put over what we're watching, because this is what we're here for. We're going to get ours anyway, and I've had to there have been people who have come and gone because it is what it is, and I see that they were not here for the right reasons, and they're no longer here. There's been several people who have come and gone. But it's just one of those situations to where like it puts a black mark on what could be. You know what I mean? Like not everybody on our side of the equation, podcasting side at this point, is here to get in the ring and use our thing to try and live some sort of fucking fantasy of being a professional wrestler. If you
I do
really
like,
wanted to be a
yeah,
professional
yeah, yeah,
wrestler, you would have probably did it when you had when you were available to do it, right? Versus just coming in and doing spots here and spots there.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not a fan, man. I hope that that everyone that was involved in it is held accountable. Real quick over in chat, Mr. Rain says, "Whoop whoop, beyond the bell. Hello, Dante," and gives you some rocking signs and says, welcome to the show. So yeah, you got
What's up, Ray, my brother? Hope you're doing well.
and Dante's coming to us
And
from the
on that,
UK.
what you said quickly is something that I think is very important. You said about accountability, and that's something that I feel like people should take more accountability and large with anything when it comes to life, but especially wrestling. Though not only does it affect those people that you mentioned, the promoter, of course, the person will get injured. Everyone gets affected in some sort of way, but it also almost has like a knock-on effect, and almost a domino effect on other, whether it be local promotions or indie wrestling as a whole, right? Like you get fans and also casual people that might have been fans that like to, in those situations, because they go so viral, paint everyone with the same brush, right? So it's like, oh, if suddenly there's a picture of all indie wrestling must be that, and everything's so unprofessional, and everyone is working like that. When that's not the case, there are so many people that I've met in my short year and a half journey in wrestling that are some of the kindest people that I've ever met in my life. Some people who would live and die for this business, some people that do this for passion, people that do this because it's their dream. And this is something that I had to educate myself on and take accountability for myself, because I can't lie. I am someone that takes wrestling seriously. I realize just how hard it is what we do, and I take pride in what I've done in the short time I've done it. But I also appreciate now it's something that I've had to learn. But not everyone is in it for the same reason. Some people just want to have one match and be done. My experience when I first came in, my first goal was I simply wanted to work my hometown heritage show, and I was going to be done. I had no interest in doing the match. Then I quickly achieved that and realized I could potentially do more. So I continued and set myself another goal, and then I set myself another goal. Now my current goal is to wrestle in front of 1,000 people, and I almost achieved that a couple of months ago, wrestling in front of 700 people. But everyone has a different goal in wrestling, right? And it's okay for that to be the case. And I feel like more people should it's going to sound really weird, but like they should cut wrestlers some slack, or at least other people some slack, and not try and judge every situation immediately. Because a lot of the people I would say involved in that night, involved in that situation, probably are awesome people. Probably were there for the love of pro wrestling. Probably were there to give the crowd the time of their lives. And unfortunately, all these people involved are probably going to be looked at differently for being involved in that situation, though.
Well, I do want to say this, and I want to point this out. I think a lot of this is like trickle effect, if you will, because we see WWE, we see AEW, and they bring in celebrities to do matches and do odds and ends and do different things physically. But I think where some of the independent companies might lose sight of is what you don't see. You don't see these celebrities, actually getting into the ring behind the scenes and putting in some work to display and put on what we're going to see, or what you see on premium live events, et cetera, et cetera. It's not just a one night thing. They're putting in work to get there, and I don't think that if more celebrities on the independent side of the equation would take it a little bit more seriously and put in a little bit of time and effort, then I think that it could tune in and it could work out. There is a guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He was a streamer. He just did something with TNA not too long ago. At Bound for Glory, he showed up in their battle royal.
I believe I know who you're on about. Yeah.
Well, he's done some other stuff with like HOG, which is up in New York. I think he did something with AJ Francis, but he's taking it seriously, right? Like he is training in his own time. Exactly. So I can get behind that because you are putting in the work, but I think that is something that when we talk about something like that, we need to point that out, because it's kind of like they see these different celebs come in and out, but they don't see them putting in the work to produce what you end up seeing. It's not just, again, a fly by night situation.
And this does go back to social media as a whole. I feel like a lot of people now these days are trained for instant gratification. I feel like TikTok and Instagram and these other websites. By the way, Instagram at Big Deal Dante, if you want to follow me. Then a lot of people are now trained to have the immediate reaction, right? Like I said, instant gratification, and things are posted so quickly. You see a pay-per-view and it's posted on YouTube an hour later, these kind of things, right? But talking of those situations, I'll give you an exclusive. I'll give a CCP podcasting exclusive, something that happened that no one would be aware about because I've never spoken about it on my social media, at least. If you happen to know a wrestler, ex-wrestler, although I believe he still wrestles, called Eugene, ex-WWE wrestler. You heard of Eugene?
Mm-hmm.
So he came down to the UK a couple of months ago, and he's doing one of our shows. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and out of nowhere, from behind, without warrant, he chopped me. From behind, he chopped me in the chest. No aggravation, nothing like that. And in that moment, I told him, if he does that again, and if he touches Dante without consent again, I'm going to chop him and turn him into dust. So, Eugene, if you're still about wrestling, I'm calling you out. Dante wants a match, and I'm going to turn you into dust in that ring.
Hey, that's a clip. We're gonna make that one happen. Let me ask you this. Let's get back to a little bit to wrestling. So when you talk about Big Deal Dante, which by the way, guys, it's on the screen. It's right there underneath him. Big Deal Dante, right there. Just hit him up on Instagram. Hit the follow. Where does Big Deal Dante come into the equation? Where do you come up with your character? And let's talk a little bit about your debut.
Well, so when I first wrestled, we'll take it a step actually, because the character in itself was something that was very simple, no real big story behind it. Ironically, I'd always heard the saying "big deal," right? Everyone's a big deal. This guy's a big deal. That guy's a big deal, and I attributed that to being cocky. Well, like, oh, this guy's a big deal. He thinks he's something cool. And my original concept for this character, I don't know what a heel or a face is. I'm a wrestler, right? So, but if I were to know what those things were, then I would say that Big Deal Dante would be what you would call a bad guy. He was someone that is cocky and brash and all those things, arrogant. So it was kind of just a 2+2 situation. And the name Dante itself, which is my real name, definitely isn't my real name. It most certainly is my real name and nothing else. But so I just think Dante is a cool name. I think that Dante is a name that people can get behind. I think it's short and sweet. I think it's effective. So that was the idea behind it, essentially. I'm a big deal and I'm also Dante. And the debut came shortly after I created that name because I believe literally a week after I thought, okay, I'm going to go with this. There was a show which happened in Leominster, would have been, I want to say, February of 2024, though I could be wrong, but it was in Leominster. And I did a 6-man tag, would have been me, the judge, and Daniel Arrowsmith versus SSC and 4D. So I did that match, unfortunately. Actually, I lied. We won that match. We got the W because we beat them up with the best wrestlers in the world, and we demolished them in 20 seconds. They didn't give us a run for money. They didn't have a legitimate close match in which we cheated in. We beat them 1, 2, 3 in 20 seconds. And then shortly after that, I was in the Rumble on the same night. So I did 2 matches in one night for my debut. And in that match, I was eliminated by the judge because, you know, he thought I'm such a good wrestler that, you know, he's going to have to eliminate me somehow. That he can't have me as a threat. So he sent me over the top rope and he backstabbed me, unfortunately.
Oh, well, that's how battle royals work. That was your education right there. So battle royals, it's every man for himself. Even when you have friends involved in said battle royal. What was your feeling like when you got to step out through that curtain for the first time? What's going through your head as you're preparing for this?
This is an extremely cliche answer to some probably, but I felt like I was born for this. I felt like this is something that I should have and would have and could have done 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And to bring it back a second, one of my original, because I feel like a lot of people in their life, of course, again, I'm the age of 25, but 18, 19, 20, I had no idea what I wanted to do with life, let alone wrestling. I didn't know what I wanted to be, what I wanted to achieve, what I could be achieving. For the last 3, 4 years during that time, especially during COVID, felt like I was just on a constant cycle, a constant wheel, spinning the motions. And I always felt I knew I wanted to affect people in some way. I wanted to affect their life, make them feel something, try and have a positive change in the world. Just didn't know how I was going to accomplish that. So come wrestling, that was the key for me. It was like a light bulb moment. It's like this is what I want. This is what I can do. Not only for myself, it's a selfish dream to be a wrestler, but more importantly for me, to see the faces of the people, the kids, and the people cheer my name. Or if I'm being, a bit bad guy on the night, then they boo me. But at least they're having memories and they're creating. And I remember when I was a kid, when my first match that I went to at 12 years old, which was Iron Fist Pro, that has turned into Prize Wrestling. I had those same memories. I remember not fully memories, but I remember there was a guy that had a flashing black shirt. I remember like people do this crazy 8-man C-flex spot. All these things I remember as positive memories as a kid. So yeah, when I came back through the curtain after the match, I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
You gotta love it when that happens, man. That's the moment where it all pays off. Where you're like, "Yep, this is exactly what I needed, and then some." Because it can be so
Yeah,
gratifying, especially when you're out there and you're in front of that crowd, and it's you and your opponent and in a referee, and you got you are the I'm not gonna say like the puppet master, if you will. You're playing you're the orchestra. You're the conductor of the orchestra. You're playing the music. They're playing the music to
yeah.
they're dancing to your tune, if you will. You've only been doing this for you're coming up on 2 years, really. If you say 2024 was your debut, so for you, what's some of your highlights so far? What's some of the stuff that stand out over your first year and a half or so in the industry?
That's a very good question, but I want to take it a step back in a second and just talk about, you said about puppet master and about pulling the strings. And this is something that I feel like is lost on a lot of people today. Again, I don't mind talking about it. If people hate me, if other wrestlers think they have a problem with me, they can come say it to my face. Prize Wrestling Hereford, I'm in the ring every single week training. So if people have a problem, I'm not hard to find. An issue that I feel like is had with modern wrestlers is that they simply do not care about the crowd. They do their own moves, they do their own things, their own tune, and they don't realize the crowd are the ultimate star of the show. Some of the best matches of all time will never be considered so because the crowd wasn't invested into it. And vice versa, some of the worst matches that you might see are considered some of the best because the crowd were behind every single move. So when it comes to the crowd, that's something that I pay the most attention to. They dictate what pace I go at. They dictate what moves I do. They dictate what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. I'm not ignorant to that fact, and for them, I appreciate it. But to bring it to your other point, in terms of highlights, an early one would have been facing someone by the name of Alex Connors, because I'm not sure if you're aware of that name, but he is a UK talent, one of the most highly respected talents. He's an absolute workhorse of the UK for the last 4 or 5 years. He has been looked at as one of the pinnacles of the UK scene, at least in my area. So wrestling him in a tag was an honour, something that I learned a lot from in such a short space of time. Then beyond that, my Hereford debut, which was against Connors, that also, again, that was my original goal, was to just simply wrestle in front of my hometown, knock that off, which then led to my other goal, which was winning the title, winning the championship, which I achieved fairly recently, I want to say 2 months ago, at the last Hereford show. I won the junior heavyweight championship, and that is a feeling that I'll never forget. I remember when I first started wrestling, my nana recently passed away, and something that I made a promise to her before, when she was still here with us, is that if I ever did wrestle and if I was able to have the opportunity, then the first match in Hereford was going to be because of her. I didn't know what that would transpire to be, but I just remember all those emotions, essentially coming down on me in that moment, and thinking a full circle moment that I was able to do not only myself, not only the people of Hereford, but her proud. And but for that's you can't really. There's no amount of money that can pay for those emotions, right? There is no amount of money you can put in front of me that's going to replicate what I feel on those nights. So yeah, those are two really big moments that stand out to me.
Well, I always say your first championship prepares you for your second, and then your third, and then your first. So to see that you're pulling one down, a year and a half deep is pretty cool to see, because it means that again, anytime you're a champ, to me, when a company would put a belt on me, it was like, all right, we trust you. And I'm just like, are you sure? Like, I don't know, man. Are you sure? You sure you trust me with this? Because I may fuck it up. But here we go. We're off to the races anyway. I think that you holding the championship and being able to have that full circle moment is something that you're not going to forget anytime at all. It will be with you, and it'll be something that you look back on. I think that it's also too kind of interesting and cool because it just took place here within the last couple of months, and 2025 is winding down. 2026
Yeah,
is right around the
it's
corner.
yet to come.
Correct. So let's start talking about some stuff that you're looking forward to. Like what's on your horizons? What's some stuff that you're looking to get into in 2026 as you enhance your game, if you will?
Of course, the ultimate goal, as I said before, was to wrestle in Japan now. 1,000 people, and in Japan. That's what I want. And maybe I'm being a bit egotistical, but that is what Dante is sometimes. When I got into wrestling, of course, like I said, I've been hitting every single goal. And now I believe that's achievable. I'm not going to be denied. I'm not going to stop until I essentially achieve that. I'm going to keep out wrestling. I'm going to keep working harder. And this is something that I carried my whole life. We talk about how how I stay motivated. The answer would be is the fans, like the people are what keep me doing what I do. Right, they're the people that keep me going forward. They're the people that keep me doing wrestling essentially. And so the goals are secondary, but they're also something that I feel like they can follow with me on this journey. All the words that I say on social media, and I don't call them promos because I don't know what that means. But if I were to call it a promo, mine are legit. They're never made up. They're never fabricated like most wrestlers are. The story about me being almost homeless was real. The story about me losing my ex-girlfriend a week before the most important show of my life, that was real. The injuries that I've suffered, the separated shoulder and my ankle and my ribs, those are all real. Those are not stuff that you can fake. And I feel like people are able to feel that energy. They feel that I'm real, that I'm not messing them about or lying to them. And I feel like it rubs off on them. So in 2026, I want more of all of that. I want people to remember me not just because I wasn't a wrestler that could do cool moves, but I was someone that they could relate to. There was someone that could look up to. Like I want to be someone that they can respect and they can admire, whether it's for better or for worse, and appreciate the work that I put into wrestling. Because this is not something that I half-ass. This is not something that I decided to wake up one day and give it a small shot and walk home. This is something that I'm putting my life into. So I want more than 2026.
Well, let me ask you this. Again, you're definitely at the start of your career, and there's a bright upside here. Where are some places that you want to get to? As you say, Japan. Where are some companies outside of or specifically in Japan, or companies in general? Like, where are some places that you want to try and get your toe in the water?
An immediate one that I have my eyes set on, which is current, which is near future, if things go to plan, is Southern Valley Wrestling. Now, I'm not a particular fan of the people that run these promotions. You've got Aaron Wolf and Reed LaHava. And let me tell you straight, Reed LaHava is recently a father. And most people would congratulate him, while I'm going to commiserate him. And more importantly, his son, because Reed LaHava is an absolute bum, in my opinion. Aaron Wolf, he's bold. So enough said on Aaron Wolf. But regardless of what I think as promoters, if they understand where the money is, then they will call Dante. They will get the biggest name in the whole of UK on that show. So Southern Valley Wrestling, I'm looking forward to being on your show because you need the money, because you're run by bums. Also, we've got Nebula Pro Wrestling, and I feel like there's someone who could deal with Dante. They could do good business with Dante. Outside of that, there's Kamikaze Pro. PW, while I recently wrestled for them, but I need gold around my waist. I need to continue this journey of domination. And I feel like PW Al only enables that. So these promotions that I look to wrestle in the next coming up weeks, months, years, does not matter, because Dante is willing to do it 24/7, 7 days a week.
It's funny you say Kamikaze Pro, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but we kind of got some friends in Kamikaze Pro. Maybe you've heard of them. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm sure your friends are absolute bums, but we're not going to talk further about this matter.
Oh.
If they have that issue with that, they can come say it to my face. You know where I'm at. I told you this. Name some of your friends. Give me one of your friends right now.
Well, to me, they're the greatest fucking tag team, not only in the UK, but period. And I'm talking about TK Cooper and Chuck Mamba, Sunshine Machine.
The Sunshine Machine.
Of course. Told you we cast a broad net, bro.
They would go night real quick. I would 2v1 them and I would beat them senseless. They would stand no chance. It would take combined 30 seconds to pin both of them with one of my super kicks. and they would be going straight down under, no more sunshine for you, buddy.
Oh my goodness. No, TK Cooper and Chuck Mamba are my boys, man. Can't be super kicking them. The Headbutt Messiah is the man. Actually, that's a piece of what we were watching today. The Progress show was great. They had a tremendous little ladder match tonight. Outside of some places you want to work, and barring the fact that you want to knock out my boys, give me some people that you want to work with. Give me some names of those that are maybe bucket list matches, maybe on the independent scene in your neck of the woods. They could be internationally. There's some people that are on your radar.
So immediately my mind goes to Leon Jackson, someone who I've faced a couple of times. But what makes this one different is the last time he was meant to face, he actually chickened out. He no-showed the match. He didn't turn up because he's an absolute fraud. He's a lanky idiot, and he deserves to be put in his place. So Leon Jackson, someone I have a mind on. When we look further than that, we talk about someone like Jesse Dynamite. Now, believe it or not, I'm contractually obligated to say that I have respect for him. While I also say, as an absolute bum, he's an idiot. He has a bandana on his head and looks stupid. Though I believe he is talented, he's simply not on my level. Jesse Dynamite is someone who I would like to wrestle. And then we talk about one of your friends, someone who was on very recently, Martin Cartier. And I'm contractually obligated to call him my friend. Whether that's the actual case, I cannot tell you that. What I can say is that I believe he is a talented individual. I believe there's a dark side to him, and I'm surprised you didn't notice this. I feel like there is a more mean, more bad side to Martin that no one has really met yet, no one has been introduced to. And I believe that would do him very well. I believe that would be fruitful for him to perhaps not listen to the crowd as much. He's a crowd pleaser. He's a people pleaser. He was on your interview talking, being so humble and being so respectful. And realistically, at the end of the day, what wins championships is actions. And what wins championships, more importantly, is results. And if he continues going to the path that he is, then he's not going to achieve those. So that is something that I entertain myself with, because that is someone who I feel like needs to be put in their place.
So are you trying to, coax Martin over to the dark side? Is that what's going on? Are you just
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me
own.
rephrase. Are you just trying to show him the way? Because I believe it or not, I was a win if you can, lose if you must, always cheat, don't get fucking caught kind of guy. That was me.
Of course, and a lot of people get caught these days, but not Dante.
I love it, man. I love it. Let me ask you this then. So we know some places that you want to go. We know some people that you want to work with. Give me some people that, I always ask, who should we be watching? And what I mean by that is, according to Dante, some people that may have impressed you in your neck of the woods. The beautiful thing about our platform is that we are internationally everywhere. And the beautiful thing about independent wrestling, and this is something that I did tell Martin, and I don't mind telling you, what I love about this is being able to hear names and see, come across faces that I don't know, because there's so many hidden gems on every continent, everywhere. And this is an opportunity for me to be able to dig a little deeper into your neck of the woods. So according to Dante, who are some people that we should be watching?
Well, let me start off by stating the obvious, that the only person you should ever be watching is Dante. I am the premium. I am the best in the UK. There is no one better. However, if I were to give my opinion on that, besides myself, there are some people like Kid Chaos, who was on the same show as me today. He is young of age. I don't know how exactly old he is, but he shows immense talent, immense capabilities. He needs someone to direct him into the right path. He needs someone who can show him how to be a real wrestler, but he has talent, he has potential there. Someone who is a bit of an oddball, and you'd be confused as to why I say their name, but Leo Rush, he's already a big enough name. Mm-hmm. However, he's recently come back to the UK, and he's someone that I look up closely. He's someone that I follow. He's someone that I respect immensely. And he's someone that, if I'm being completely honest, I look up to. I feel like he's someone that has changed the path of people that look like myself, changed the perception of people like myself in terms of stature, in terms of size. So people like that are people that don't get enough credit, quite frankly. The wrestling fans seem to only care about big guys like The Undertaker and Kane and all these giants, when realistically people of my size are doing the hard work, are pulling the great matches, are getting the best out of those kind of wrestlers. So those are some people that I would consider worth watching.
Well, we've talked a lot about wrestling. We've talked a lot about social media. This conversations went places I didn't think it was going to go, but I'm here for it. I think it's great. It's one why, again, I always say I never know where these things are going to go, and usually we're just scratching the surface with these conversations because my hope is that you have a great time and you want to come back and hang out with us down the line and circle around and catch up. That being said, so you were at a show tonight. Tonight for you, obviously, it's still early afternoon for me, going into early evening. And you're here with me now. And obviously, when we hang up from this call, you're probably going to start winding down and relaxing, getting ready for tomorrow. In your world and whatever downtime that you get, what kind of stuff do you like to do to relax? What kind of stuff when the lights off, the camera's off, the it's just you and your surroundings, you get to that woosah moment, if you will. Some stuff you like to do to relax.
Before I end this call, I need to say that, of course, there is no relaxing for Dante. When I finish this call, I should say, I'll be counting the massive stack of money on my bed that I made from tonight's show. Beyond that, though, what I would say is when I am not counting money and when I am able to have my own time, it is spent studying wrestling. This is, like I said, what I live for. This is what I want to do for as long as I'm able to for the next 20 plus years. And so I study religiously. I'm watching everything from AEW, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, all the way down to Rev Pro Progress and anything in between that. I believe it's important to, like I said, hold yourself accountable. And I know that whilst I am a phenomenal wrestler, you know what I'm saying, there is a lot that I can still improve on. There is much for me to learn. There is much for me to be able to grasp the concept of. And that's the beautiful thing about wrestling is every match that I have, I improve. I get better. I get stronger. I get faster. I become more intelligent. I become smarter. All these things. Beyond that, if I were to take anything outside of studying and counting loads and loads of money, I'm a bit of a gamer, so I probably spend a little bit of time on the Xbox when I do get some downtime.
Well, okay, gaming is a whole nother situation. We'll get there. When you say you're watching, who are some of your excuse me, maybe I can fucking talk. Who are some of your tape studies? Who are some of those that you go to and you start watching when you're doing some studying?
An immediate one that comes to mind is someone who I feel like has been underappreciated for the longest time is Noam Dar. If you don't know that name, then get to know that name. Noam Dar is a phenomenal talent. Of course, the more obvious one is Zack Sabre Jr. I feel like that's someone who most people in the UK respect and have admiration for. Beyond that, again, like I said, Leo Rush, he's another phenomenal talent. But it goes beyond that. Again, like I said, someone like a Johnny Saint, who was doing wrestling before I was born, he is someone that I go back to because it's almost like the old becomes new again when certain people forget certain things for a long period of time. He was wrestling, I believe, in the 60s and the 50s, this kind of era. So that kind of stuff I like to bring back and make it new again.
Love it, man. I love it. I know that we're running out of time. So I want to say this to you, man. I appreciate you coming in and sitting down with me, especially after a long day, a match, traveling back to the house, and then bypassing dinner and sitting down and having this conversation. I really want to get you back on down the line and pick this back up because I think that there's a lot that we can talk about that probably needs to be talked about, to be perfectly fair, that some people may benefit from. I wanted to dive deeper into some of that in the first half of our hour here this evening, but if I did, we weren't going to get to where we were getting to right now, and that would be to close things out. So what would you like to say to the people before we tie a bow on it?
Well, before we get to that, I am contractually obligated to say that I appreciate your time. I appreciate you spending some of your time out of your day to come and talk to me, even though you paid me money to do this interview, and you're going to pay me even more money for the fact that this interview has gone over time. So I expect that in my bank account as soon as this interview is done. But what I would also say is that to the people that decide to watch me, decide to look at my Instagram, which is at Big Deal Dante, just know one thing, that I am not in this for the short term. I am not a 15-minute sensation. I am the real deal. I'm someone that you need to look out for because I take this seriously. As you would have known during this interview, I'm someone who cares about it. I'm caring about pro wrestling, whether for better or for worse. I'm going to put my body on the line each and every time I step into that ring, and that is a personal guarantee.
Love it, man. I can't wait to see what's going to be happening here. You've got especially you're so young, and I say this to a lot of the younger generation that come in. Like, you're 25. You know, if you're this good now, think about where you're going to be in 5 years. And the scary part about that is that's not even your prime. Your prime's another 4 or 5 years after that. You're 10 years away.
I appreciate the sweet talk, but it doesn't change the fact that you're still paying me for this interview. Don't try and get out of it. You're still going to be paying me.
I mean, it is what it is. If I got to cut the check, I got to cut the check. But I'm still going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's the sweet nothings, if you will. But listen, this has definitely been fun. Guys, the easiest way that you can show your support for independent wrestling is by sharing, and subscribing when you can, where you can. And Dante keeps it simple over on Instagram. Big Deal Dante. Smash the follow. Tell him that you saw him right here on our podcast. And go check out what he's got going on. You're not going to be disappointed. I promise you that. And if you have not followed our social media platforms, fucking shame on you. CCP_podcasting on Instagram. Catch us on the web, ccppodcasting.com. Mr. Dante, it's been a pleasure. And I look forward to chatting with you again real soon. For our guest today, Big Deal Dante, I am Chris Page. We will see you next time.